honor.
You're live, Mr. Chairman.
All right, let's get started. I'd like to call this regular county council meeting December 3rd to order, and we'll start off and I'll give the invocation. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to be here to represent the people of Greenville County. I just pray that you would give us guidance and wisdom as we deal with a lot of issues tonight. Thank you that everybody came out tonight. Just pray that we would have a nice meeting, that people would be respectful, and that everybody would go home in safety. Guide us, direct us, in Jesus' name, amen. All right, if you'd join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item on the agenda is approval of minutes from the November 5th and the November 19th meetings.
Move approval of the minutes.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. Next item are proclamations and special recognition. I'd like to call on the Honorable Mayor Knox White, City of Greenville, for a special recognition.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Great privilege to be here tonight. And on the front end, I just want to say, since I know this is a last meeting for many folks, what an honor it's been to serve with many of you over these past several years. And I mean this sincerely. You're in a very tough job where you sit, and I appreciate that every day. But thank you for what you do. And I'm very much looking forward to working with the new members of Greenville County Council. I've been around here long enough to see people come, people go, and everything in between. So I appreciate it, particularly for those who present themselves in public service. But thank you to every one of you for doing that. And again, for the new people coming on board. We've got a lot of things to do in Greenville County, and I know you'll do it well. I'm here tonight, though, because I received a phone call from Governor Henry McMaster, who asked me to step into his shoes tonight to present something in behalf of the governor in the state of South Carolina. And it's a great distinguished pleasure to do this. It's the Order of the Palmetto, which we all know is the highest civilian honor in South Carolina. And I have the great honor on behalf of the governor to present it tonight to Mr. Chairman Butch Kirven. Well, hold on, Butch. I got I'll say a few things. Come on now. I've had the great honor, too, to serve alongside Butch for these many years, and 20 years on Greenville County Council. That's just absolutely remarkable, and we all of Greenville County appreciates that. But I don't know of anyone who's served with any more distinction that Mr. Kirven has, whether he's chairman or not chairman. And I appreciate every day the fact that he was such a collaborative public official, brought people together, that he always had vision. Certainly three great projects come to mind that I think really are very much a legacy kind of situation. One is this building here today. It's hard to imagine this when you walk out in the parking lot and see all that pavement and such. It's going to be changed so dramatically, but for those of us who've seen the plans, it really is just remarkable. I'm always telling people what's going to happen on this site is far better and amazing than anyone has any weight of knowing right now. What you're going to see is a true extension of downtown Greenville. It's something everyone's going to be very proud of. But that billion-dollar project took tremendous vision to see the opportunity there. And then projects like the Swamp Rabbit Trail, which I think we would all agree has really transformed Greenville and spoken directly to all of us sharing a sense of that, this is a special place in Greenville, and keeping it special, keeping green space, and the Swamp Rabbit Trail has probably done more for quality of life and what quality of life in Greenville is about than any one project I can think of. And Butch, your leadership on that at critical times was so very important. And then my personal favorite, all of these are in the category of when they finally come to fruition, people are really going to be amazed. It may just take a while to see it. The third one is what we're going to see on Woodruff Road. I don't know about you, but I think Woodruff Road is another growth issue, and you look at it now, what it is kind of something we're not too proud of, but it's going to be an amazing thing to see this Woodruff Road extension parallel parkway, if you will, on that side of town that will change people's perceptions of Woodruff Road. And again, it speaks to growth in Greenville. So those are great projects. And finally, I just want to say it's rare to find a public servant who combines vision, integrity, and the ability to get things done effectively as Butch Kirven. And I can think of no one, in behalf of the governor of South Carolina, more deserving of the Order of the Palmetto than Butch Kirven, whose lifetime of service to our state, to our county, and indeed to our country is something we all admire, and it's just been extraordinary. So on behalf of the governor of South Carolina, Butch, it's my great honor to present you the Order of the Palmetto.
Thank you, Mayor.
Pleasure.
It's kind of hard to think of something to say at a time like this. Appreciate all the accolades. It's been an honor to serve with you and other elected officials in our delegation and county council and mayors and city council members for 20 years. I was thinking about this being my final meeting tonight. I was thinking about beginnings and endings that we all have in our lives in different ways. And I was thinking back to January 5th, 2005, when I was sworn in as a member of Greenville County Council. And here we are, almost 20 years later, 5 terms on county council, and it's ending. But beginnings and endings both, I think, open doors to new opportunities. But I wouldn't be here today without everybody else that I know working together. You know, I've often thought about this too, if I might take a minute, about lifelong learning. And, how do we get through life? We learn, and the life is itself is our classroom. And the people that we work with are our teachers. Every day, day in and day out. You observe, you learn, you work with people, and you find good people and you work towards worthy goals, and sometimes you get an opportunity to accomplish mighty deeds and noble goals. And I know a lot of people think about those things, and I've been very fortunate to know so many great people and learn so much from them, and to be a part of our progress and collectiveness and accomplishments that we've achieved that I've been a part of in some way or another over the last 20 years. So thank you very much. Appreciate the governor making this happen, and thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks for being here tonight. Thank you, Mr. Kirven, for your honorable service for the last 20 years. We're going to miss you. Now let's go to the next item on the agenda, which are appearances on current agenda items. And we've got 3 people signed up to speak. The first one is Miss Diane Vreeland. If you'll come give us your name and address for the record. And
Good evening. Diane Vreeland on behalf of Greenville County Republican Women, 413 Heather Falls Lane, Simpsonville. I had a nice chat with Councilman Barnes, and he asked me what the biggest issue I and others had with the county council. I answered there were 2, trust and transparency. Public perception is reality, and that needs to continually be addressed, or there will be consequences, as there was in the primary election, where 3 of you were replaced and 1 did choose to not run again. On that note, I want to thank the councilmen who are leaving for their service to this county, as I know how incredibly hard this job can be. We may not agree on all things, but I am sincerely appreciative of your time and your effort. I want to address Philos one more time. The council really needs to rethink the strategy on these, as they have become counterproductive. Although Max gave a good presentation, I am not buying what you all are selling. Bringing in more business to Greenville County is destroying our infrastructure It's burdening our school system and taxing our services such as police, fire, garbage, etc. The scales have tipped. There is too much growth and development of our land and is impacting our quality of life. I want you to consider what I'm about to say about Philos, as well as another huge item on the agenda that I am not allowed to talk about regarding horrifically changing how we plan and zone Greenville County. I am asking those of you that have voted yes in the previous readings to reconsider your vote and do what is right and just for the people you represent and vote no. I genuinely believe you're good people and you've worked diligently on behalf of your constituents. As such, you have earned the right to have a wonderful legacy. Please do not throw your legacy away by voting yes to these items as your last official votes in office. Your constituents deserve better. They have entrusted you as their elected representatives to act in their best interest, not yours. Your constituents deserve the check and balance system we currently enjoy now with elected and appointed individuals. Your constituents deserve not to have to pay for needless lawsuits. We are better than this. You will be remembered by what you do tonight, not by what you have done in the past. Think long and hard and remember why you ran for office and what you are obligated to do on behalf of the people who granted you the privilege of representing them, and vote no. I would like to hand a copy of my statement to the clerk so it's part of the public record, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Breland. Ms. Audrey Passon, you are speaking on item 12C, County Administrator's Contract.
Now, I signed up for Southport, 2 items to speak on Southport, 1 on the administrator's contract and 1 on affordable housing.
Okay, the first one is the Administrator's Contract.
Oh, okay, very nice.
If you give us your name and address for the record.
My name is Audrey Passon, 136 Old Altamont Ridge Road, Paris Mountain. Happy Thanksgiving. I'm thankful that I can be here and speak today. I want to talk about the administrator's contract. I've heard through the grapevine that it will be argued, it's an extension, your new rule doesn't apply. That is an untruthful statement. A contract has 3 elements: offer, acceptance, consideration. How the meeting of the mind is memorialized is the signature. You folks, by rule, have adopted a way to memorialize that require 9 signatures. If it's an extension, that's a type of a contract. If it's a modification, that's a type of contract. If it's a novation, that's a type of contract. The word contract includes extensions. Extension changes a time term or financial thing. That's all I want to say on that point. Another point is that you should take a look at Anderson County. In 2008 and 2009, it had a bunch of problems with a new council coming in wanting to terminate the contract of the administrator, hire a new person. I won't have time to tell you about all the cases and the holdings here, but I would say this: don't enter a contract, and if you do, don't specify a time frame, because otherwise you would need to have cause. No time frame, no cause. That's the short course on that. I think that with the vote of the citizens, this council has seen that a new marching order is appropriate, a new way of doing business is appropriate, a new administrator is appropriate. I'm sure that Mr. Cornell's done some wonderful things. I'm not criticizing his performance, but I think the will of the people is a changing of the guard. And I think to that end, you need to have a new administrator as well. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you, and if you'll just stay right there and tell us your, what you would like to say on 13B, affordable housing. It's your lucky day.
Wow, out of order. You want to get me done quickly. That's okay. I can sit down and enjoy the rest of everybody else's presentation.
You're next on the list, Ms. Passon.
Okay. Want my address again?
Yes. would be great.
136 Old Altamont Ridge Road, Paris Mountain. Affordable housing. You know, I think affordable housing is a beautiful term that doesn't mean the same thing to everybody. Everybody seems to bring their own sense of meaning to that phrase. I saw in the UDO, which I'm not going to talk about because it's prohibited, that the The purpose of the UDO is to make housing affordable for every single person in the county. When I saw that, I pictured Tent City, somewhere under a bridge, because there's really no way to do that. It's a very audacious goal, but it's a fairy tale. So when you talk about affordable housing in the county, what do you mean? I always think it should mean rents that are affordable for the people who already live here. I don't think it should mean housing for people coming in from other places for which new construction needs to be built and for which new infrastructure is also required but is not currently in place. So I think about affordable housing meaning working out some arrangement where people will have money to pay their rent. Because it's a very relative term to a wealthy person, maybe some of the folks sitting on this dais. Affordable means, a couple mil. To somebody else, it means something very different. So to the extent that I look at it, it's housing affordable for the end user, not housing made cheaper to put up for the builder, which is the way the Planning Commission has interpreted it to this point. What they do is they allow builders to increase density of development in places where density ought not be increased in order to save a few dollars. The developer saves a few dollars, and then allows it to be called affordable. I find the formulations for what constitutes affordable to be mind-boggling. I bet you no one here could pass a test on what the federal standard for that is. And I hope that the next council would do a lot of research looking at what is needed to help people afford their housing, including help them develop good jobs that allow them to afford housing, and maybe manage their expenses, not to have too many credit card debts, so they could afford housing. These kinds of things are part of the equation as well, in my mind. It's, do we know how to manage our finances as a citizen? The affordability question goes away to a great extent when we are good stewards of our own finances. So I hope that we will delay on enacting something and do the study that is required for affordable housing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Passon. The next, the final speaker on the current agenda items is Laura Allen. If you'll give us your name and address for the record and tell us what you'd like us to hear.
Yeah, my name is Laura Allen. I live at 38 Meadow Springs Lane in Greer. I just signed up under this category to speak on 12C, and I don't have a whole lot to say other than that I'm pretty shocked and confused, Mr. Barnes, as to why you would be proposing on your way out of county council drastically reducing the salary for incoming councils.
Ms. Laura, that is not 12C. That's the county administrator's contract.
That's what's on 12C on the
And the item that you're referring to is on first reading, so that's not open for public comment.
Okay, I signed up at the front desk to speak on 12C. It's on the agenda as 12C.
12C is the county administrator's contract.
It literally reads, prescribe the annual salary for the members of Greenville County Council.
Okay, that's
on
first
12C.
reading. That's not eligible for discussion tonight.
So the agenda is incorrect.
No.
It's on 12C unless I'm having a reading problem.
I think the clerk just forgot to put the asterisk next to it. That's what's causing the confusion.
Okay, well, as presiding chair, it's first reading. We have a clear rule that says you can't speak on an item until it comes out of committee. So if you want to speak on county administrator's contract, you can, but other than that.
Okay, well, I think that's a joke too, but I'll leave that at that then.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Allen. All right, those are all the appearances on current agenda items. Moving on, the next item on the agenda are a series of public hearings, and 7A is South Point Commerce Center, LLC. Call on Chairman Kervin for that.
Thanks, Chairman. There's quite a busy agenda tonight. I'd like to remind everybody again that the Finance Committee for County Council sets a timing on when these finance items are submitted to the county for consideration. It's up to the private sector companies to make those decisions, and we find ourselves here with a lot of work to do here at the end of the year. So we'll get started with our public hearings. As you said, item 7A. This is a South Point Commerce Center, LLC, formerly project CHQ 12456, fee in lieu of tax agreement. This public hearing is being held for the purpose of receiving comments from the public regarding an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of a fee in lieu of tax agreement by and between Greenville County, South Carolina, and South Point Commerce Center, LLC, with respect to certain economic development property in the county, whereby such property will be subject to certain payments in lieu of taxes, including the provision of certain special source credits and other matters related thereto. Ms. Stone, has anyone signed up to speak at this public hearing?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Kirby, we have 4 speakers. The first speaker is Megan Ingersoll. She is opposed to the proposed.
Okay, thank you for coming, and please give us your name and address.
Hello, my name is Megan Ingersoll, and I'm from 121 Glen Creek Drive in Greer in District 18. And I am speaking tonight about this philo in particular, but I was asked to designate one, and I said I was opposed to them all. So I will speak in regards to this one in particular, but feel free to apply my comments to all of them. I know firsthand through previous votes that agenda changes and through votes that this council's mind can be moved. However, neither myself and likely not anyone in this room actually believe that something we say tonight will change your mind or your votes on this issue, especially philos. But this is a tragedy, for denying the voice of the people is to deny a core function of democracy in our government. You are elected to represent your respective districts and collectively Greenville County. And even if you were living under a rock this past year, you would know that the county has resoundingly said no to expanded taxes, rampant spending, and bloated development. And yet again and again, you push, promote, and prioritize tax incentives for developers under the guise of how philos improve the district. And yet you knowingly gift these millions of dollar tax incentives to these developers who are not helping our communities. They're bringing more homes, more congestion, and land resources continue to evaporate. And sometimes worse, they flood our community with liberal ideology and woke corporate culture. Any resident or property owner will tell you they're overwhelmed by the increased congestion as a result of rapid expansion and seemingly little comprehensive planning. So let's be clear, you do not have the public support on these philos. To continually vote yes for more philos and bloated development is to deny the voice of the people and openly admit you do not care about us. And I know tonight is the 11th hour for some of you in your terms, but you still do leave a legacy with your votes tonight. So Butch, Chris, Mike, break ranks. Demonstrate that you have the ear of the people once more and leave a legacy of being willing to listen and sacrifice whatever personal gain you may get from this for the betterment of your community. I know you can do this. I ask that you would. And those of you who remain on this council, who we hope we will see different from, Liz, Joey, I ask you do the same. Our founding fathers often found themselves in heated disagreements with opposing ideas, but what created the strength of our foundation was their ability to listen, to respond, and craft something better. If you vote yes and shove these plans through, you not only say, we don't care to do that, you also say to the people of Greenville, we don't care about you. You have an opportunity to do the right thing, and even if you stand alone and are the only one doing the right thing, I promise you it's always worth more than anything anyone will ever offer you. So what's your legacy going to be tonight, folks? Will you do the right thing, even if it's just this once? Will you vote no against these items? Thank you.
Ms. Stone, please call the next speaker.
The next speaker is Diane Vreeland.
Ms. Vreeland, here she comes.
I'm not sure if there's any confusion because I was speaking on the contract, the business administrator's contract. Is this the right time?
No,
ma'am.
you were supposed to speak on contract at the last go-round.
Okay. So
And I didn't call you out of order because you were speaking about philos. I figured I'd give you a little bit of.
Can I speak on this now since I was out of order? So now I don't
this
get
is
to
a
talk.
public hearing for, no.
Well, you
For
should
item
have
7A,
stopped me
this is
then.
item
This is,
South Point Commerce Center.
this is South Point
Philo
Commerce
agreement.
Center.
Okay.
Ms. Stone, call the next speaker, please.
The next speaker is Audrey Pazin.
You have me down for 2 of these on Southport? Your person who registers people to speak really is challenged about how to do it. I hope the next council can improve the method.
Ma'am, if you could keep your comments to the matter at hand.
Yes, the matter at hand is people aren't being signed up where they asked to be signed up. I will speak on the ethics of the philos because ethics are always on the table. And I want to point out that 3 people who will vote on philos tonight really have a conflict of interest and shouldn't be voting. Why is that? Let me explain. The Greenville Area Development Corporation is not a statutory entity. It is an entity, though, that sends the contracts to this council for adoption in the form of philos. And the question becomes, well, does that contravene the state constitution? It's not a dual-hatted assignment that everybody would be thinking about. It's not holding 2 offices at one time. But what about voting? When you vote on something that the corporation sent to you, is it proper? And the answer is that no one here has ever even asked the Ethics Commission that very pressing question. That surprised me, because I spent the better part of the entire day looking at Attorney General opinions on this subject. I suggest you make yourself familiar with the decision rendered in 2011. It was the Myrtle Beach Regional Economic Board and Horry County Council question that was posed by the chairman of the Horry County Council, asking, could he vote on matters that came before the county council, which came from the Economic Development Corp? And the answer was, well, it looks like a conflict of interest. You shouldn't vote. It may be subject to an ethics challenge. You should ask the Ethics Commission. That's the holding in that quick summary of that case. Well, guess what? You folks don't even recognize that you need to report on your state ethics annual report that you serve on that corporation. I look personally at yours, Mr. Curbins, yours, Mr. Tripp, yours, Ms. Siemens, reports for the last few years. You don't even acknowledge that you're on that board. What a good way to hide the conflict of interest. You don't report it to the Ethics Commission. You don't ask the Ethics Commission if you can properly vote on these philos, and you vote to beat the band. Don't think it has escaped anyone's notice, this flood of philos before us tonight. You must have done a very good job considering how well they serve our county. I wondered why people called this like a pro-development cabal, but I'm wondering less when I see this kind of activity, which is very offensive because you're here to serve in a lawful way the citizens of this county. Thank you. I know I'm not going to get a round of applause.
Please call the next speaker, Ms. Stone.
The next speaker is Laura Allen.
My name is Laura Allen. I live at 38 Meadow Springs Lane in Greer. So I really want to echo what previous speakers have said about philos as a whole. I wish the mayor had not stepped out because it's comical, honestly, to hear the mayor and members of this council, like Mr. Curbin, speak about things like preserving green space and quality of life when everything that you all do essentially is just to further dismantle that. Every philo that you all hand out is an invitation, not even just an invitation, it's basically cash handed out to giant corporations to get them to come here and clear cut more of our green space, right, to build their facilities, come here and destroy our infrastructure and deplete our quality of life, and bring employees here essentially from other places with them because these jobs, most of them are not even being filled by local people, but they're being filled by people that are moving here from out of state to also take advantage of our infrastructure and further decrease the quality of life here. With this one specifically, and it might be the case, I think with every one of these that's on the agenda tonight, it's all this manufacturing, assembly, and distribution jobs, which quite frankly is the last type of industry that we need to be bringing in more of right now. We are oversaturated with that type of industry. I can tell you from experience, there's very little opportunity here outside of that. There's too much of that. It's crap jobs for crap wages. The people that currently live here don't even want those jobs. There's hundreds of them out there. I went on Indeed last night, just out of curiosity. I put in manufacturing on Indeed and looked at full-time manufacturing jobs within 25 miles of Greenville. And it came up with over 500 job listings, over 500 openings right now that are not filled by people that are currently living here. Then I put in production just to see that one as well. That one pulled up over 200 jobs, and for assembly, it came up with over 100. So those are open jobs right now, and you all are handing out cash to more corporations to come here and provide those very same type of jobs that are already being offered here that the people who live here are quite literally telling you they don't want. If there's hundreds, I'm sure there's probably actually thousands available right now in this area, then there's something off here. People don't want that type of work. It's already an oversaturated market, and the last thing we should be doing is handing out cash, essentially, to giant corporations to get them to bring more of that exact same type of work here. That's all.
Thank you.
Are there any more speakers for this item?
No, sir.
I declare this public hearing closed.
All right, next item on the agenda is 7B, South Point Commerce Center, LLC.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This public hearing is being held for the purpose of receiving comments from the public regarding an ordinance to amend an agreement for the development of a joint county industrial and business park, 2010 Park of Anderson and Greenville County, so as to enlarge the park. Ms. Stone, has anyone signed up to speak?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Kervin, we have one speaker, Audrey Passon, in opposition.
Thank you very much.
Because the registrar didn't know how to sign me up, I'm speaking on Q1 and Q4, which was the 7A. But with your permission, there's either a scrivener's error in your ordinance or a big mistake on these. You have an ordinance, your Q1 ordinance on South Point. That big, long contract indicates on page 4 of table that the projected investment is $3,900,000. But your ordinance reflects the investment as over $19 million. Why would that be? That mistake occurs 6 times. Each time on a South Point ordinance, your ordinance shows it as being, well, let me find you the paragraph. Well, I'll let you check it yourself. It shows it as $19,500,000 from memory, but that's not what the contract says. I looked at the one for Q4. The contract for Q4 is a $2,500,000 investment. That also is shown, though, on the ordinance as being over $19 million. And I wonder how that could be. Why would this particular investment reap so much philo benefit when so small? A $2.5 million investment is going to reap a reduction to 6% taxes for 30 years. Oh, by the way, it produces no jobs. We have no idea what the industry is. We don't know of any benefit at all to the county. We do know that 3 of the people who will vote for it tonight have a conflict of interest, even in recommending it to us. And I wonder what was the nature of the due diligence to figure out what this entity, which gets tax benefits of this magnitude, what is the value to the county? You know, the ordinance has all this nice verbiage. You find it to be a benefit to the people, blah, 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 blah. Where and how and who figured that one out? And why is that benefit so specifically hidden from the public? It doesn't appear in the contract. There's no commitment. One last thing. It's freely transferable. 6 of these entities with big tax benefits. Who's going to end up getting them? Is it someone you know? Is it someone from a, I don't know, mafia out of Mexico? Are they bad people coming who are going to get that transfer? They get the benefit. Freely transferable, 6 units, major tax benefit, no benefit to the county on its face, and an overstatement of the investment. How could that have happened? Thank you.
Meanwhile, they give away our tax dollars.
Any more speakers at this public hearing?
Sure.
I declare this public hearing closed.
All right, next item on the agenda is 7C, Drive Automotive Industries of America, Inc.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This public hearing has been held for the purpose of receiving comments from the public regarding an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of a fee in lieu of tax agreement by and between Greenville County, South Carolina, and an entity or entities identified by the county for the time being as Project Double Eagle. Actually, this is Drive Automotive, including any related or affiliated entities and any sponsor affiliates with respect to certain economic development property in the county whereby such property will be subject to certain payments in lieu of taxes, including the provision of certain special source credits and other matters related thereto. Ms. Stone, would you call the first speaker?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Kerwin, we have one speaker, Laura Allen, in opposition.
Thank you very much.
My name is Laura Allen. I live at 38 Meadow Springs Lane in Greer. So this one, for anybody, not even so much for the council's benefit, because I would hope they have done the research themselves. But for anybody in the room that is not aware, Drive Automotive Industries is a manufacturing division of a company called Cosma International, which is an operating unit of a larger company called Magna International Incorporated that is a global publicly traded company who recently posted their third quarter 2024 results that say they have posted sales of $10.3 billion for the quarter with a net income of $484 million. So I, quite frankly, am struggling to understand why a company that in one quarter brought in $10.3 billion would be needing a break on their taxes. Especially considering that this community is propped up by locally owned mom and pop businesses, people that bust their butts every single day in this community. They raise families in this community. They give back to this community. They care about this community, and they live here, and they employ people here, and they care about people here, and they get nothing. They get no break on their taxes, but a company that brought in $10.3 billion in one quarter gets a tax break. I don't understand why we're handing out money free to global corporations to get them to come here. It makes no sense to me. Like I said, especially as our small businesses who actually matter and prop up this community get absolutely nothing. So, that's all.
Thank you very much. Any more speakers? Ms. Stone, no more speakers. I declare this public hearing closed. There's no speakers on the next one. Next item, Mr. Chairman, 7D.
I'm sorry. 7D, Drive Automotive Industries of America, Inc.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This public hearing has been held for the purpose of receiving comments from the public regarding an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of a fee in lieu of tax agreement by and between Greenville County, South Carolina, and an entity or entities identified by the county for the time being as Project Double Eagle, which is Drive Automotive, including any related or affiliated entities and any sponsor affiliates with respect to certain economic development property in the county, whereby such property will be subject to certain payments in lieu of taxes, including the provision of certain special source credits and other matters related thereto. Ms. Stone, has anyone signed up to speak at this public hearing?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Kerwin, we have no speakers for this public hearing.
I declare this public hearing closed, Mr. Chairman.
All right, next item is 7E, Amazon.com Services, LLC.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This public hearing is being held for the purpose of receiving comments from the public regarding an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of a fee in lieu of tax agreement by and between Greenville County, South Carolina, and a company known to the county at this time as Project Strong, which is Amazon.com Services, LLC, with respect to certain economic development property in the county, whereby such property will be subject to certain payments in lieu of taxes, including the provision of certain special source credits and other matters related thereto. Has anyone signed up to speak?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Kerwin, we have two speakers in opposition. The first is Deborah Manning.
Thank you. Please come forward. Please give us your address for the record.
Thank you. I'm Deborah Manning. I live at 210 Von Holland Drive in Greenville. Tonight I'm going to be addressing the issue of FELOs, and that's fees in lieu of taxes awarded as an enticement for new businesses to come to Greenville. In particular, I'm a little confused. You're telling me that Amazon needs a tax break? I'm a little confused. This incentive perhaps was needed 10 years ago. Not anymore. We've got plenty of business. Amazon certainly has plenty of business. And in talking and listening to the lady back here, $10.3 billion worth of revenue is certainly a lot for another company. The November 5th presidential election is a clear call for lawmakers to listen to the public carefully, without disdain, and rolling their eyes at public meetings. The election of the new county council members to be sworn in January is a clear demonstration of that change in public opinion. Now, I know you've heard it all before. Promoting more philos simply transfers the tax burden from the business to the homeowner. As a result, these new businesses translate into more and more traffic, subdivisions intruding into pristine farmland and forests. And these businesses are not paying their way. By the way, philos for empty warehouses, that's a waste of taxpayer money. These warehouses don't generate new jobs. I understand that's a prerequisite for a philo. These speculative ventures are just that. They are speculative. They are hopeful dreams for a developer and the landowner. So why are these worthy for tax breaks? They're not. It's insulting to taxpayers who are forced to pick up the tab. The truth is, this public here is saying that Greenville County is deteriorating. Yes, deteriorating. We need to control this growth with smart planning and not catering to any one select group or another. County Council is elected to serve the best interests of all citizens in Greenville County, and that includes not only the new arrivals to this county, but respect for the long-term residents of Greenville County. Respect. Since I have a bit more time here, I do find it reprehensible that a lame duck county council will push through a motion for salary reduction for the council members to $1,000 a year. Equally representative.
You need to keep your comments on this
Well,
item.
Early voting on a massive rezoning ordinance is also reprehensible. I respectfully request this statement be added to the public record. Thank you.
Please call the next speaker.
The next speaker is Laura Allen.
My name is Laura Allen. I live at 38 Meadow Springs Lane in Greer. This one's really good. Amazon's really good because the last one I was saying, Magna brought in Q3 over $10 billion. Amazon in Q3 reported revenue of $158.88 billion with a net income of $15.33 billion. Jeff Bezos, for anybody that doesn't know, his net worth is currently $223.3 billion. So as you can see, he's really hurting and he needs a tax break. He has a $500 million yacht. Most local business owners around here don't have yachts. Perhaps if they got $100 million tax breaks, they could get there as well, but they don't. He has upwards of 10 homes, none of which are anywhere near Greenville County, South Carolina. He does not care that this place exists, nor do any leaders within Amazon care anything about this place. They care about coming here and exploiting cheap labor, which you all serve them on a silver platter. I've said before, but it's an absolute joke to give tax breaks to giant corporations. Amazon being about, as bad as you can get. I can't think of a company, quite frankly, less deserving of a tax break when, like I said, you have small, locally owned businesses based in this community, people that are busting their backs in this community every single day, giving back to this community, and they don't get anything. And you want to talk about giving Jeff Bezos, of all people, a tax break to come here. And I understand that you all want to pat yourselves on the back and say, we got Amazon to come here. We got Amazon to come here. All Amazon has to offer here is the same crap jobs and crap wages as every other employer that's being brought here. It's the same crap work that I'm telling you nobody in this area wants. There are hundreds of these jobs already available. We don't need these jobs here, quite frankly. If anything, they should be paying extra to come here and take advantage of our infrastructure at this point. And instead, you all are doing the exact opposite, and you're handing them money to come here to exploit our cheap labor and our infrastructure. And it's an absolute joke. That's all.
Thank you. Any more speakers on this item? I declare this public hearing closed.
All righty. Next item is
F.
10F, or 7F, Amazon.com Services, LLC.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This
speakers on
public hearing is being held for the purpose of receiving comments from the public regarding an ordinance to amend an agreement for the development of a joint county industrial and business park, 2010 park of Anderson and Greenville County so as to enlarge the park. Ms. Stone, has anyone signed up to speak at this public hearing?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Kerwin, we have no speakers for this public hearing.
I declare this public hearing closed, Mr. Chairman.
All right, next item is 7G Blackbird Project LLC.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This public hearing is being held for the purpose of receiving comments from the public regarding an ordinance authorizing the extension and delivery of a fee in lieu of tax agreement by and between Greenville County, South Carolina, and Project Blackbird LLC with respect to certain economic development property in the county, whereby such property will be subject to certain payments in lieu of taxes, including the provision of certain special source credits and other matters related thereto. Has anyone signed up to speak on this one?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Kerwin, we have one speaker in opposition, Laura Allen.
Thank you. Please come forward.
My name is Laura Allen. I live at 38 Meadow Springs Lane in Greer. I don't have a whole ton to say about this one, other than I would love to tell a personal story that does relate to this. I was reading a news article earlier where Mr. Kerwin gave a quote that says, "We want to provide opportunities for local people, young folks that are maybe getting out of high school, looking for good startup jobs or permanent jobs in the manufacturing sector." So I've talked a lot about how these jobs are ample here and people don't want them, and I would just like to share sort of a personal story of why, and why I wholeheartedly disagree with Mr. Kerwin's comments about this being, these manufacturing jobs being great for people just out of high school and looking to start a permanent career. So I come from a long line of blue-collar workers. Pretty much everybody in my family falls in that category. My mom invested 25 years of her life at GE just to be fired after 25 years. But she went on disability because she basically was just debilitated to a point of being almost non-functional. So she's in her 60s. She's had 3 hip replacements. I had to live with an aunt of mine for a little while when I was little while my mom recovered from one of those before she had to go back to work. She has had tons of other health issues as a result of working in the manufacturing sector for those 25 years. She currently can hardly get dressed in the morning. I have to help her put jackets on now that it's cold out because her arms don't bend in such a way anymore that allow her to put sleeves on. She also rides without her seatbelt most days because her arms don't bend in a way that allow her to buckle a seatbelt anymore. My dad is also in his 60s, and he is still working in a distribution center for a large company, also based in Greenville County. And he has to keep working because he needs yet another hernia surgery. And so he has to keep working and continuing to lift the heavy weights and stuff that led to him having all these hernias because he needs his insurance till he gets through the surgery. So personally, I have watched people's lives be destroyed by these type of jobs. And so I just think it's really incredibly short-sighted to say these are great jobs for young people and these are great jobs for people looking to start a permanent career. I think if you have not worked in these sectors, you have absolutely no idea what you're talking about, quite frankly. You truly have no idea. I've watched it destroy my parents and plenty of other people in my family. And so that's, just another issue I have with you all championing these jobs like you are doing the Lord's work or something by bringing these great manufacturing jobs to the area when I've seen the reality of what they do to people. And the last thing that these employers should be getting rewarded for is providing these back-breaking jobs for the wages that they pay. That's all.
Thank you very much. Okay.
All right, next
I declare
item.
this public hearing closed.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is 7H, General Electric Partial Assignment, Assumption, and Bifurcation Agreement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This public hearing is being held for the purpose of receiving comments from the public regarding an ordinance authorizing pursuant to Chapter 44 of Title 12, South Carolina Code of Laws, 1976, as amended, the execution and delivery of a partial assignment, assumption, and bifurcation agreement, and amended and restated 1999 fee agreement by and between Greenville County, South Carolina, and GE Gas Turbines of Greenville, LLC, and an amended and restated 1999 fee agreement by and between Greenville County, South Carolina, and General Electric Company, all agreements with respect to the division and bifurcation of that certain fee agreement and by and between Greenville County, South Carolina, and General Electric Company dated November 1st, 1999, as amended on June 1st, 2004, and November 3rd, 2009, and other matters related thereto. Ms. Stone, has anyone signed up to speak at this public hearing?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Kervin, we have no one signed up for this public hearing.
I declare this public hearing closed.
All right, next item on the agenda is 7I, General Electric Partial Assignment Assumption Bifurcation Agreement, 2014.
This public hearing is being held for the purpose of receiving comments from the public regarding an ordinance authorizing to, pursuant to Chapter 44 of Title 12, South Carolina Code of Laws 1976, as amended, the execution and delivery of a partial assignment, assumption, and bifurcation agreement, and amended and restated 2014 fee agreement by and between Greenville County, South Carolina, and GE Gas Turbines of Greenville, LLC, and an amended and restated 2014 fee agreement by and between Greenville County, South Carolina, and General Electric Company, all agreements with respect to the division and bifurcation of that certain 2014 fee agreement by and between Greenville County, South Carolina, General Electric Company, and GE Gas Turbines, Greenville, LLC, and other matters related thereto. Ms. Stone, has anyone signed up to speak at this public hearing?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Kervin, we have no one signed up for this public hearing.
Thank you. I declare this public hearing closed.
All right, next item is 7J, Donaldson Company, Inc., and Lycar LLC, formerly Project Power. Chairman Kervin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This public hearing is being held for the purpose of receiving comments from the public regarding an ordinance to amend an agreement for the development of a joint county industrial and business park, 2010 Park of Anderson and Greenville counties, so as to enlarge the park. Has anyone signed up to speak?
Chairman, Mr. Kervin, we have no one signed up for this public hearing.
I declare this public hearing closed, Mr. Chairman.
All right. The next item of business is 7K, sale of county-owned property, Chapman Grove Road, Pilser.
Mr. Chairman, I need to recuse myself.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This public hearing is being held for the purpose of receiving comments from the public regarding an ordinance to authorize the sale of a county-owned approximately 5.3-acre parcel of real property located on Chapman Grove Road, Pelzer, and to authorize the chairman of county council and the county administrator to execute appropriate deeds and agreements. Has anyone signed up to speak in favor or in opposition?
Mr. Chairman, Ms. Seaman, we have 3 speakers in opposition. The first speaker is Ruthie Cooley.
Thank you so much for being with us this evening. Please state your name and address for the record.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Ruthie Currington Cooley. I reside at 10727 Tom Short Road, Charlotte, North Carolina. Although I am not a primary resident here in Greenville County, I am one of the owners of 240 Chapman Grove Road in Pelzer. And I'm a direct descendant of the Chapmans who own this land and that we're going to talk about tonight. I do want to thank you guys for hearing us tonight. So I'm here to speak in opposition to the sale of this property. This is my 3rd council meeting. Yes, I have driven from Charlotte each time. My 3rd council meeting in 6 weeks. 4 weeks ago, on November 5th, I came. I actually did get to address the council, although it was on first reading, so I appreciate that. 2 weeks ago, I was here for the special meeting. I realized that your rules did not allow me to speak, but again, we were here to show to let you know that we are really opposed to this sale. And now, of course, and it was put on hold 2 weeks ago, thanks to Mr. Rick Bradley. I really appreciate that, in his motion to put the 2nd reading on hold. So here we are again, 6 weeks, 3 visits. I did send an email last Monday to Councilman Tripp, Councilman Seaman, Councilman Bradley, Councilman Fant, and of course to Ms. Julie Wallace, requesting very specifically that the council not approve the sale of this property and to direct the county to remove this property from sale. In that email, which I believe Ms. Wallace forwarded to all of you, I had 4 attachments. One was my plan statement of 2 weeks ago. Second was my brother's plan statement of 2 weeks ago. He's here to speak on his own behalf. And 2 other documents that I hope provided clarity on our request. The first document was the original deed that my grandfather signed on behalf of the Chapman Grove School and Agricultural Club. That deed was the original purchase of this land on January 19, 1926. The second attachment was a deed between the Chapman Grove Community Club, which was the successor to the school, an agriculture club, and the Greenville County Recreation Commission. My time's running out, so I'm going to get to the bottom line. That second deed was signed on October 12, 1973 between the Community Club and Greenville County Recreation Commission. They entered into an deed agreement to convey those 5.3 acres with specific restrictions. The restriction reads, it being understood that the within described property is conveyed to the Greenville County Recreation Commission for the purpose of being used for recreation and/or all park purposes, the same to be maintained and operated by the grantee, and in the event said property ceases to be used for said purpose, the same will revert to the grantor and its successors. It is no longer being used as park. The county clearly does not need it for a park, and I'm here to represent the successors. Thank you for your time, and I appreciate your consideration.
Thank you very much.
Conclude it, please, sir.
Our next speaker is Kurt McGahey. Please give your name and address for the record.
Yes, good evening. Kurt McGahey, 347 Parker Slatton Road, Simpsonville, 29681. It's a bittersweet moment tonight. It'll be the last time I address you as a citizen and all the other citizens here. I'm going to start off with, j'ai étudié le français pour 7 ans. Studied French for 7 years, so I know a little about French history. We got 6 Marie Antoinettes on board who constantly say, que mange de la pain. Let them eat cake. On January 7th, you no longer eat cake.
Mr. McGahey.
For this, I'm getting my point, please, Ms. Seaman. Thank you. It's my 3 minutes. This, again, this is indicative of how the county operates. You're going to sell a piece of property to a person who is developing to their family member. I want you all to know this. Reedy Property Group is Chris Harrison's wife's brother's owns it. That's who's buying that property. How funny someone on county council is recusing himself properly for the first time I've seen in 6 months for a sale of a property that the county should give back to its successors. For us coming on county council, we should not be sued for something that's so plain and obvious. Do what's right for the people. This is obviously not something we should be doing. There's value in that property, or the Reedy Property Group wouldn't be trying to come and buy it. Everybody knows that. I want to be crystal clear here. In 4 weeks, things will change. Do what's right by the people. Put yourself in the public's shoes. The reason some of you have been voted gone is because you didn't put yourself in the public's shoes. You put yourself on a pedestal and ate bruschetta while the rest of us ate merde. You can translate that in your own French dictionary. So what I'm saying is, finally, please, I'm asking you before I come on this county council, do what's right. It's not that hard. Look in the mirror. Put yourself in those people's shoes and look at me. Put yourself in those people's shoes. Right? This is not about you. You're spending their money for your benefit and for Chris's benefit and his family's benefit. It's the truth. Don't cut me off. I am speaking on this, and I am totally in line.
You are
I'm not
getting
threatening
very
you.
close to the line.
This is not threatening. I'm saying do the right thing.
You're getting very close to the line. When you're sitting up here next year,
Yeah.
you will not be able to impugn fellow counselors.
not impugning.
Don't start now.
I'm not impugning.
Don't start now because you don't have the facts.
Don't cut me off, Dan. You're done.
The next speaker is Sanity Curitin. Thanks so much for being with us. We appreciate it. Please give your name and address for the record.
It's Santee Charles Curitin. I live at 7 Huntsman Court, Simpsonville, South Carolina. And in addition, as my sister has just mentioned, I'm also one of the property owners of 240 Chapman Grove Road, Beltsville, South Carolina. I'm here to speak in opposition to the sale of the Chapman Grove Road, Beltsville property. And as my sisters mentioned, this is my 3rd meeting coming over the last 6 weeks. The property in question, 5.3 acres facing Chapman Grove Road, is not clearly owned by the county. My understanding, ownership of the land is based on the land deeds, where it clearly shows lineage of ownership, restriction of property usage, and the legal agreement between purchasers and grantor and grantees. The 5.3 acres facing Chapman Grove Road land was originally purchased on January 19, 1926 from a Mr. Davenport by my grandfather, John Henry Chapman, as director of Chapman Grove School and Agricultural Club. This sale is recorded in the deed book, volume 108, page 185. The successor to the Agricultural Club was the Chapman Grove Community Club. On October 12, 1973, the Chapman Grove Community Club and the Greenville County Recreation Commission entered into a contract to sell the 5.3 acres with very specific restrictions. As recorded in the deed book, 183 and 184, the restriction reads, and my sister read it, but I'm going to read it again. It being understood that the within described property is conveyed to the Greenville County Recreation Commission for the purpose of being used for recreation and or all park purposes. The same to be maintained and operated by the grantee, and in the event said property ceases to be used for said purposes, the same will revert to the grantor, its successors. It was a park, which I used to play when I was a kid with my siblings, cousins, and my uncle. It is no longer a park. So it's pretty clear in the contract, it should just be reverted back. My sister and I are here representing the successors of the Chapman Grove Community Club, and to this deed, we're asking basically three things. One, do not move forward with the sale. Two, revert the property to the appropriate successor of the Chapman Grove Community Club, and relinquish all claims of ownership to this 5.3 acres. Thank you for your time and your attention.
Thank you very much. Having no other speakers, we'll declare this public hearing closed.
All right, next item on the agenda is item 7L, transfer of county-owned park, Poinsett Park.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This public hearing is being held for the purpose of receiving comments from the public regarding an ordinance authorizing and approving the transfer of ownership and operation of Poinsett Park to the City of Travelers Rest, and to authorize the execution of deeds and any other documents and agreements related hereto. Has anyone signed up to speak in favor or in opposition?
Mr. Chairman, Ms. Seaman, we have no one signed up for this public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, having no speakers, I'll declare this public hearing closed.
All right, next item, transfer of county-owned park, Gateway Park.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This public hearing is being held for the purpose of receiving comments from the public regarding an ordinance authorizing and improving the transfer of ownership and operation of Gateway Park to the City of Travelers Rest, and to authorize the execution of deeds and any other documents and agreements related thereto. Has anyone signed up to speak in favor or in opposition?
Mr. Chairman, Ms. Seaman, we have no one signed up for this public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Having no speakers, I'll declare this public hearing closed.
All right, next item is transfer of county-owned park, Trailblazer Park.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This public hearing is being held for the purpose of receiving comments from the public regarding an ordinance authorizing and approving the transfer of ownership and operation of Trailblazer Park to the City of Travelers Rest, and to authorize the execution of deeds and any other documents and agreements related thereto. Has anyone signed up to speak in favor or in opposition?
Mr. Chairman, Ms. Seaman, we have no one signed up for this public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Having no speakers, I'll declare this public hearing closed.
All right, the final item on public hearings, lease of county-owned property, 118 McGee Street, Greenville. Ms. Seaman?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This public hearing is being held for the purpose of receiving comments from the public regarding an ordinance authorizing and directing the negotiation and execution of a lease with the state of South Carolina, a portion of county-owned property located at 118 McGee Street, Greenville, South Carolina, 29601, consisting of a portion of a building formerly known as the Juvenile Detention Facility. Has anyone signed up to speak in favor or in opposition?
Mr. Chairman, Ms. Seaman, we have no one signed up for this public hearing.
Having no speakers, I'll declare this public hearing closed.
All right, next item on the agenda is the consent agenda.
Move approval of the consent agenda.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. Next item are resolutions. 9A, American Spinning Mill Bailey Bill Extension. Chairman Kervin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll move for adoption of a resolution to extend the special property tax assessment previously authorized for the real property commonly known as 300 Hammett Street, which qualifies as rehabilitated historic property.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Mr. Mitchell.
Go ahead, Mr. Mitchell.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move to amend the resolution.
All right, state your amendment.
I move to amend the resolution to be consistent with the red line resolution that was being handed out to council. This matter concerns the extension of a Bailey Bill certification for property located at the American Spinning Mill. This amendment amends the resolution in your packets to refer to the appropriate date when the property received initial certification from the Historic Preservation Commission and to include the condition that the applicant receive final certification from the Historical Preservation Commission as a condition for this extension to become effective. I move adoption of the resolution as amended.
Okay, let's vote on your amendment first. Any questions on Mr. Mitchell's amendment, red line amendment?
Mr. Chairman, you talking about the red line amendment we received at 6 o'clock?
I believe that's correct.
And you want us to vote on this now?
Yes, sir?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I ask for a roll call when it's time to vote.
All right. Any questions on the amendment? All right.
Clarification, is it only changing the,
Hold on, Mr. Shaw.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Ms. Kervin?
We got the amendment on the floor.
Right, that's
So I
right.
was going to wait till that, and then I'd make a
Okay.
motion to.
Mr. Shaw?
I just had a point of information. It's saying that it's just changed the date. Is that what Mr. Mitchell's saying?
That's the substance of what he said, yes.
Is that-
The whole
is that-
page this is all new on this. This is all these red line changes, Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Mitchell's the,
Okay, Mr. Mitchell, all these red line changes here that we're looking at here, and you're telling me it's just the date change?
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Antley, if you want
Mr.
to.
Mitchell, do you mind?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
It came to our attention through some staff today that there was an error in the original resolution as drafted. So when we saw that, we went ahead and talked to Mr. Mitchell about adding the provision about the, putting a condition on the final certification so that it would be not take effect until final certification, and we adapted it based upon a previous one that had already been done. So there's additional whereases as far as its descriptions, but the substantive real changes are it establishes when, and I don't want to get into too much detail unless you really want to hear about the Bailey Bill, which I promise you probably don't, but the way it works is it establishes the start date for certification for when they get the tax lock-in for the Bailey Bill, and then it also has to wait until February 25 for whenever they can final certify it. If they do it then you're adding an extension. That's what that language does. That's what all that language does.
All right. Believe Mr. Shaw do you have a question?
No, that was my only question.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's vote on the amendment. Are you still asking for a roll call, Mr. Juvulakis?
Yes, sir, please.
Okay. We'll proceed to roll call vote.
Mr. Chairman, just a clarification to maybe clean some of this up. So I was looking at the two, and like section 5 and 6 essentially are the same from the red line and the regular. So I don't think we're changing all of these. I don't really know why. Why was it redlined if we weren't altering anything? Maybe that'll clear some of it
Well,
up.
part of that was done, Mr. Blunt, because whenever this was brought to our attention, we had to work kind of quick this afternoon, and if that got caught as a red line, we can clean it up as a Scrivener's error if it's been done double, but the intent was to take one that had already been done and put it on top of this one, so it was redlined off.
I think that's what's happened is that almost the whole second page doesn't change. It's the same language for the most part. Section 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are identical. So I think maybe some of that red just looks a little extra red because it's not supposed to be.
We also have a clean version. Did we pass out the clean version? There's a clean version of it as well that just reads as it should, as the amended or changed version. And that one would not be as confusing, but I wanted everybody to be able to see the red line. So you can see what the change was.
All right.
I won't call for a roll call on this.
Okay. All those in favor of adoption of the amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Now we'll proceed to a vote on adoption of the ordinance.
Make a motion to approval as amended.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Move to Resolution 9B, International Vitamin Corp.
Chairman, I move for adoption and second a resolution authorizing the addition of a sponsor affiliate under the 2018 fee in lieu of tax agreement as amended between Greenville County, South Carolina, and International Vitamin Corporation and other matters related thereto.
All right, all those in favor of adoption of the resolution 9B, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. 9B is adopted. The next item on the agenda are ordinances at third reading. And I'll call on Dr. Fant for 10A, and you've got a number of them if you want to just proceed through those.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. CZ 2024-055, property located at 29 Ridgeway Drive, East Dorchester Boulevard, and Williamsburg Drive, Greenville, requesting rezoning from R12 to FRD. I move adoption of the ordinance at third reading.
All right, all those in favor of adoption of the zoning ordinance at third reading, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. 58.
CZ 2024-058, property located on Furman Hall Road, Greenville, requesting rezoning from RMHP to S1. I move adoption of the ordinance at third reading.
All right, all those in favor of adoption of 58 at third reading, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. 61.
CZ 2024-061, property located at 212 Feaster Road, Greenville, requesting rezoning from RS to C1. I move adoption of the ordinance at third reading.
All right, all those in favor of adoption of the ordinance at third reading, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. 61 is adopted. 63.
CZ 2024-063, property located at 307 Edward Street and Klein Street, Taylor, requesting rezoning from R20 to R10. I move adoption of the ordinance at third reading.
All right, all those in favor of adoption of the ordinance at third reading, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. 64.
CZ 2024-064, property located at 2 Sheffield Lane, Owens Road, Taylor's, requesting rezoning from R20 to R12. I move adoption of the ordinance at third reading.
All those in favor of adoption of the ordinance at third reading, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. 65.
CZ 2024-065, property located at south of Highway 11, east of Highway 115 and Highway 14, north of Highway 414, and west of Greenville-Spartanburg County boundary, requesting rezoning from unzoned to AG, RR3, RR1, and RSR12. I move adoption of the ordinance at third reading.
All right, all those in favor of adoption of the ordinance at third reading, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. 21.
CZ 2024-021, property located at 2222 and 2224 East Lee Road, Taylor's, requesting rezoning from R20 to R10. Move adoption of the ordinance at third reading.
All right, all those in favor of adoption at third reading, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it. 10B, Piedmont Area Plan.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. I move for adoption at third reading an ordinance to amend the Greenville County Comprehensive Plan in the Piedmont Study Area.
All right, all those in favor of adoption of the ordinance at third reading, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. Unified Development Ordinance, Chairman Fant.
I move for adoption at third reading an ordinance to adopt the Greenville County Unified Development Ordinance.
Roll call, please.
Call. All right, we'll proceed to a roll call.
Mine doesn't work.
Hers doesn't work.
Mine doesn't work. I don't know. I got nothing but yes, I'm a yes.
Mr. Chairman, we have 7 in favor, 5 in opposition.
All right,
I'm a yes, and it doesn't come up on my screen.
the ordinance is adopted at third reading.
Mr. Chairman, point of order.
State your point.
I believe you meant this motion failed.
No,
And the reason being, Mr. Chairman, at Planning Commission meeting, this motion failed 6-6. Their Robert's rules, or go by Robert's rules, they are required to get more than 6 votes or it fails by Robert's rules. So if it moves forward to us, it means you have to have a 2/3 vote for this to pass. There were only 7 votes to pass. It needs 8 votes to pass, and this motion failed. This UDO did not pass.
Okay, well, when you're chairman, you can make that proclamation. The ordinance was adopted 7-5. That's my ruling.
Motion to challenge the ruling.
Challenge the ruling.
Okay.
Challenge the ruling.
Okay. And we'll take a roll call vote on it. We'll proceed to a roll call vote. If you sustain my ruling in support of a majority vote, vote yes. If not, vote no. Ma'am?
Call the question.
You're in the audience, please.
Roll call, please.
Means.
Let's go over that, Mr. Chairman, what means what?
Right.
Go over what means what we're voting on.
A yes vote sustains my ruling. A no vote would overturn my ruling. Ma'am, you're out of order. You're out of order. Okay.
Commission did not approve you to look at your rules. You didn't suspend your rules.
Ms. Patterson, please call the roll. Please announce the results.
But we haven't voted.
I didn't vote.
We hadn't voted. Hadn't come up. All right, so a no does not support you, right? Correct?
A no is to overturn my ruling.
Okay, thank you.
I'm a yes. I'm a yes.
Please, we the people, please. What is your ruling based on? Point of information. What is your ruling based on,
Ma'am.
Chairman? I wish someone would ask.
Point of information, Mr. Chairman, I will ask that question. What's your ruling based off?
I have made a ruling that this ordinance was adopted 7-5. That is my ruling.
Rule on the commission. What did the commission do? Ask for.
We're in the middle of a vote. Has the vote been completed?
Sir, we have 7 in favor, 5 in opposition.
My ruling has been upheld. The next item on the agenda is 10D. Chairman Seaman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move for adoption at third reading an ordinance authorizing the enlargement of the territory of the Metropolitan Sewer Subdistrict and other matters relating thereto.
All right, all those in favor of adoption of the ordinance at third reading, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. 10E, Chairman Kervin.
Yes, sir. Slater Marietta Fire District General Obligation Bond. I move for adoption at third reading an ordinance finding that the Slater Marietta Fire District may issue not exceeding $1,275,000 of general obligation bonds to authorize the Board of Fire Control of the Slater Marietta Fire District, South Carolina, to issue such bonds and to provide for the publication of the notice of the said finding and authorization.
All right, all those in favor of adoption of the ordinance at third reading, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. 10F, Greenville Anderson Multi-County Industrial Park Agreement, Chairman Kervin.
Yes, sir. This is Project Palmetto in Anderson County. I move for adoption at third reading an ordinance to amend the agreement for the development of a joint county industrial and business park, 2010 park of Anderson and Greenville counties, so as to enlarge the park.
All right, all those in favor of adoption of the ordinance at third reading, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. 10G, Chairman Kervin.
Sale of county-owned property 6 Bailey Mill Road, Travelers Rest. I move for adoption at third reading an ordinance to authorize the sale of county-owned 1.995 acre parcel of real property located at 6 Bailey Mill Road, Travelers Rest, at the corner of Highway 414 and Bailey Mill Road, and to authorize the chairman of county council and the county administrator to execute appropriate deeds and agreements related thereto.
All right, all those in favor of adoption of the ordinance at third reading, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. Next item is 10H, South Point Commerce Center LLC.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll move for adoption at third reading an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of a fee in lieu of tax agreement by and between Greenville County, South Carolina, and South Point Commerce Center LLC with respect to certain economic development property in the county whereby such property will be subject to certain payments in lieu of taxes, including the provision of certain special source credits and other matters related thereto.
Roll call, please.
All right, we will proceed to a roll call on the adoption of the ordinance at third reading, 10H.
I'm a yes.
Mr. Chairman, we have 7 in favor, 4 in opposition, and 1 absent.
All right, the ordinance is adopted as amended, or as proposed on third reading. 10I, Greenville Anderson.
Mr. Chairman, is that,
My screen is not working, and I'm a yes, and they have me recorded as a yes, which is why that screen only says 6.
That's 7-4.
Correct. All right, the next item on the agenda is 10I, Greenville Anderson Multi-County Industrial Business Park Agreement Amendment, 2010 Park. Chairman Kervin.
Yes, sir. This is South Point Commerce Center LLC, formerly Project CHQ1. I move for adoption at third reading an ordinance to amend an agreement for the development of a joint county industrial and business park, 2010 Park of Anderson and Greenville counties, so as to enlarge the park, Project CHQ1.
All right, all those in favor?
Roll call, please.
Okay, we'll proceed to a roll call on 10I, the adoption of the ordinance at third reading.
order, can we ask for a roll call through item V? So we don't have to ask every time.
You need to ask for it every time. Okay. We will.
8 in favor, 4 in opposition.
All right. The ordinance is adopted at third reading. The next item on the agenda is 10K, Greenville Anderson Multi-County Industrial Business Park Agreement Amendment 2010 Park.
Yes, sir. I'll move for adoption at third reading an ordinance to amend an agreement for the development of a joint county industrial and business park, 2010 Park of Anderson and Greenville counties, so as to enlarge the park, Project CHQ2.
All right. All done. Okay. Roll call is requested on 10K.
Mr. Chairman, we have 8 in favor, 4 in opposition.
All right. The ordinance is adopted on third reading. 10L, South Point Commerce Center, LLC.
Yes,
Chairman
sir.
Kervin.
Formerly Project CHQ4. I'll move for adoption at third reading an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of a fee in lieu tax agreement by and between Greenville County, South Carolina, and South Point Commerce Center, LLC, with respect to certain economic development property in the county whereby such property will be subject to certain payments in lieu of taxes, including the provision of certain special source credits and other matters related thereto.
All right.
Roll call.
Okay. Roll call's been requested on 10L.
Mr. Chairman, you have 8 in favor, 4 in opposition.
All right, the ordinance is adopted at third reading. 10M, Greenville Anderson Multi-County Industrial Business Park Agreement Amendment, Chairman Kervin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is formerly Project CHQ4. I move for adoption at third reading an ordinance to amend the agreement for the development of a joint county industrial and business park, 2010 Park of Anderson and Greenville counties, so as to enlarge the park, Project CHQ4.
Roll call, please. All right, we'll proceed to a roll call.
Chairman, you have 8 in favor, 4 in opposition.
All right, the ordinance is adopted at third reading. 10N, South Point Commerce Center, LLC. Chairman Kervin.
I move for adoption at third reading an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of a fee in lieu of tax agreement by and between Greenville County, South Carolina, and South Point Commerce Center, LLC, with respect to certain economic development property in the county whereby such property will be subject to certain payments in lieu of taxes, including the provision of special source credits and other matters related thereto, formerly Project CHQ5.
All right. Roll call. We'll proceed to a roll call.
Mr. Chairman, you have 8 in favor, 4 in opposition.
All right. Next item is 10O, Chairman Kervin.
I move for adoption.
I'm sorry, the current vote, are we missing 2? I know Ms. Siemens has been,
And she can just put me down for yes on and on and on, because I know what the pattern is.
just put yes on.
Just put me down for all of them.
Okay.
Okay. 10O, Chairman Kervin.
10-0. I move for adoption at third reading an ordinance to amend an agreement for the development of a joint county industrial and business park, 2010 Park of Anderson and Greenville County, so as to enlarge the park, Project CHQ5.
Roll call. All right. Proceed to a roll call.
Mr. Chairman, you have 8 in favor, 4 in opposition.
All right. The ordinance is adopted at third reading. Next item is 10P, South Point Commerce Center, LLC.
Chairman, I'll move for adoption at third reading an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of a fee in lieu of tax agreement by and between Greenville County, South Carolina, and South Point Commerce Center, LLC, with respect to certain economic development property in the county whereby such property will be subject to certain payments in lieu of taxes, including the provision of certain special source credits and other matters related thereto.
All right. All those in...
Roll call, please.
Okay. We'll proceed to a roll call.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, you have 8 in favor, 4 in opposition.
All right. Ordinance is adopted at third reading. 10Q, Greenville Anderson Multi-County and Industrial Business Park Agreement Amendment.
Yes, sir. I move for adoption at third reading an ordinance to amend an agreement for the development of a joint county industrial and business park, 2010 Park of Anderson and Greenville County, so as to enlarge the park, formerly Project CHQ6.
All right.
Roll call.
What's your point?
A speaker had mentioned there was a discrepancy in the numbers between the ordinance and the agreement. I would object based on that. I just want to, I guess, let me say I'm voting no based on that. I just want to make a point that a speaker has said there's a discrepancy between the two numbers.
Okay. Do you want to address that?
I can, yes, Mr. Chairman, excuse me. The ordinance covered all 5 lots, or 6 lots, however many were involved there. So the ordinance was one single ordinance that combined each one of these amounts to the 19 million they talked about. The agreements are for individual lots, and they range anywhere from 2.55 million on one lot to 3.9 million on another. The numbers all add up. It's just that by law, the ordinance could be done as one single ordinance. the individual filos, so for each individual lot that was being built up, they had their own separate numbers, so the numbers add up. There's no discrepancy.
Okay. We'll proceed to a roll call. Roll call has been requested on 10Q, adoption of ordinance at third reading.
Mr. Chairman, you have 8 in favor, 4 in opposition.
All right, the ordinance is adopted at third reading. 10R, Drive Automotive Industries of America, Inc.
I
Chairman
move for
Kerwin.
adoption at third reading, an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of a fee in lieu of tax agreement by and between Greenville County, South Carolina, Drive Automotive Industries of America Incorporated, and MGSC 001 LLC, including any related or affiliated entities and any sponsor affiliates with respect to certain economic development property in the county whereby such property will be subject to certain payments in lieu of taxes, including the provision of certain special source credits and other matters related thereto.
All right. Roll call has been requested on item 10R.
Mr. Chairman, you have 9 in favor, 3 in opposition.
All right, the ordinance is adopted at third reading. 10S, Drive Automotive Industries of America, Inc. and Lex Piedmont LLC. Chairman Kerwin.
Yes, sir. I move for adoption at third reading, an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of a fee in lieu of tax agreement by and between Greenville County, South Carolina, Drive Automotive Industries of America Incorporated and Lex Piedmont LLC, including any related or affiliated entities and any sponsor affiliates with respect to certain economic development property in the county whereby such property will be subject to certain payments in lieu of taxes, including the provision of certain special source credits and other matters related thereto.
All right, all those in favor?
Roll call.
We'll proceed to a roll call.
Mr. Chairman, you have 9 in favor, 3 in opposition.
All right, the ordinance is adopted at third reading. 10T, Amazon.com Services, LLC.
I move for adoption at third reading, an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of a fee in lieu of tax agreement by and between Greenville County, South Carolina, and Amazon.com Services, LLC, with respect to certain economic development property in the county whereby such property will be subject to certain payments in lieu of taxes, including the provision of certain special source credits and other matters related thereto.
All right, all those in favor of adoption?
Roll call.
Okay, we'll proceed to a roll call.
Mr. Chairman, you have 9 in favor, 3 in opposition.
All right, the ordinance is adopted at third reading. 10U, Greenville Anderson Multi-County Industrial Business Park Agreement Amendment, 2010 Park. Chairman Kerwin.
I'll move for adoption at third reading, an ordinance to amend an agreement for the development of a joint county industrial and business park, 2010 Park of Anderson and Greenville counties so as to enlarge the park, previously Project Strong. This is Amazon.com Services, LLC.
All right, all in favor of adoption of the ordinance at third reading, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. It's adopted at third reading. Blackbird Project LLC, Chairman Kerwin.
I move for adoption at third reading, an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of a fee in lieu of tax agreement by and between Greenville County, South Carolina, and Blackbird Project LLC with respect to certain economic development property in the county whereby such property will be subject to certain payments in lieu of taxes, including the provision of certain special source credits and other matters related thereto.
Roll call.
All right, a roll call is requested.
Mr. Chairman, you have 8 in favor, 4 in opposition.
All right, the ordinance is adopted at third reading. 10W, General Electric Partial Assignment, Assumption, and Bifurcation Agreement.
I'll move for adoption at third reading, an ordinance authorizing pursuant to Chapter 44 of Title 12 South Carolina Code of Laws, 1976, as amended, the execution and delivery of a partial assignment, assumption, and bifurcation agreement, and amended and restated 1999 fee agreement by and between Greenville County, South Carolina, and GE Gas Turbines Greenville LLC, and an amended and restated 1999 fee agreement by and between Greenville County, South Carolina, and General Electric Company, all agreements with respect to the division and bifurcation of that certain fee agreement by and between Greenville County, South Carolina, and General Electric Company, dated November 1st, 1999, as amended on June 1st, 2024, and November 3rd, 2009, and other matters related thereto.
All right, all those in favor of adoption of the ordinance at third reading, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. The ordinance is adopted at third reading. 10X, General Electric Partial Assignment, Assumption, and Bifurcation Agreement.
Yes, sir. I move for adoption at third reading an ordinance authorizing pursuant to Chapter 44, Title 12, South Carolina Code of Laws, 1976, as amended, the execution and delivery of a partial assignment, assumption, and bifurcation agreement, and amended and restated 2014 fee agreement by and between Greenville County, South Carolina, and GE Gas Turbines Greenville LLC, and an amended and restated 2014 fee agreement by and between Greenville County, South Carolina, and General Electric Company, all agreements with respect to the division and bifurcation of that certain 2014 fee agreement by and between Greenville County, South Carolina, General Electric Company, and GE Gas Turbines Greenville LLC, and other matters related thereto.
All right, all those in favor of adoption of the ordinance at third reading, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. The ordinance is adopted at third reading. Project Bolt. Chairman Kirkland.
Yes, sir. I move for adoption at third reading an ordinance authorizing the approving, one, the execution and delivery of a second amendment to an existing fee in lieu and incentive agreement between Greenville County, South Carolina, and a company identified for the time being as Project. This is one we sent back to Finance Committee, Constellation. I think I've got it's okay.
No.
Project Bolt.
Bolt is, yeah, but my script says Constellation, so we'll skip that and revise this to say to provide for, under certain circumstances, certain additional special source revenue credits in connection with additional investment in certain manufactured and related facilities in the county, and two, other matters related thereto.
Mr. Chairman, isn't this the solar farm?
Project Bolt? I'm not sure.
It is.
Okay.
So this,
This has to be held for a public hearing.
okay, so it hasn't had public, okay.
No, it has not.
It has not.
It's not. So we'll hold this item for a public hearing. 10Z, Greenville Anderson Multi-County Industrial Business Park Agreement Amendment.
10Z Zulu, I move for adoption at third reading an ordinance to amend the agreement for the development of a joint county industrial and business park, 2010 park of Anderson and Greenville County, so as to enlarge the park for Project Bolt.
Okay, and this item will be held for a public hearing as well.
Yes, sir, I was going to make a motion that we hold that
Oh,
public
okay,
hearing.
okay.
We got the same place.
Okay, 10AA.
Yes, sir. Greater Greenville Sanitation District General Obligation Bonds. I move for adoption at third reading an ordinance finding that the Greater Greenville Sanitation District, South Carolina, may issue not exceeding 34 million general obligation bonds, authorizing the Greater Greenville Sanitation Commission as the governing body of the Greater Greenville Sanitation District, South Carolina, to issue such bonds, providing for the publication of the notice of the said finding and authorization, and providing for other matters related thereto.
All right.
Amendment, Mr. Chairman.
All right, state your amendment.
There was an amendment in your package to reduce the amount from 34 million down to 20 million.
All right. Any questions on the amendment? All those in favor of adoption of the amendment?
Roll call.
Okay. Roll call is requested.
Scott, yes.
Mr. Chairman, you have 10 in favor, 2 in opposition.
All right, the amendment is adopted.
I make a motion that, to approve the ordinance as amended.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, the ayes have it. 10 double B.
Mr. Chairman, as per my notice to the clerk, I'm going to recuse myself.
10 double B, Pickens Greenville Multi-County Industrial Business Park Agreement, Speedway Park. I move for adoption at third reading an ordinance to develop a jointly owned and operated business industrial park in conjunction with Pickens County pursuant to South Carolina Code of Laws 1976, Section 4-1-170, and so forth as amended, such industrial business park to be at the time of its initial development geographically located in Pickens County and to include certain property located at the intersection of Highway 123 and Highway 124, to provide for a written agreement with Pickens County providing for the expenses of the park, the percentage of revenue applications, and the distribution of fees in lieu of ad valorem tax and matters related thereto.
All right, all those in favor of adoption of the ordinance at third reading, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. 10 double C.
Yes, sir. Anderson Greenville Multi-County Industrial Business Park, amended agreement 2010 Park, Donaldson Company Incorporated, and Lycar LLC, formerly Project Power. I move for adoption at third reading an ordinance to amend an agreement for the development of a joint county-owned industrial and business park, 2010 Park of Anderson and Greenville County, so as to enlarge the park.
Right, all those in favor of adoption of the ordinance at third reading, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. The ordinance is adopted at third reading. 10 double D, transfer of county-owned parks, Poinsett Park, Gateway Park, and Trailblazer Park.
Wait a minute, Mr. Chairman, we have a 10 double F.
We got two more in front of that one. This is double D. Chairman Seaman has two.
Okay, I got you.
Then you come up.
C, D, and E. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move for adoption at third reading an ordinance authorizing and approving the transfer of ownership and operation of Poinsett Park, Gateway Park, and Trailblazer Park to the City of Travelers Rest and to authorize the execution of deeds and any other documents and agreements related thereto.
Right. All those in favor of adoption of the ordinance at third reading, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. The ordinance is adopted at third reading. 10 double E, lease of county-owned property.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move for adoption at third reading an ordinance authorizing and directing the negotiation and execution of a lease with the state of South Carolina of a portion of county-owned property located at 118 McGee Street, Greenville, South Carolina 29601, consisting of a portion of a building formerly known as the Juvenile Detention Facility.
All right. All those in favor of adoption of the ordinance at third reading, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. The ordinance is adopted at third reading. 10 double F. Chairman
Thank you,
Kirby.
Mr. Chairman, this is Lake Cunningham Fire District General Obligations Bond. I move for adoption at third reading an ordinance finding that the Lake Cunningham Fire District may issue not exceeding $9 million of general obligation bonds to authorize the Board of Fire Control of the Lake Cunningham Fire District, South Carolina, to issue such bonds and to provide for the publication of notice of said finding and authorization. Mr. Chairman, since the citizens living in the Lake Cunningham Fire District have voted in referendum against the bond issue, I'll be voting to deny this item, and I urge my colleagues to do the same.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, roll call, please.
All right.
And also, Mr. Chairman, can we explain how does that stay on the agenda after the people voted against it?
It's a formality. It came this far, it gets read out, but it gets denied, and that puts an end to it because the referendum is acknowledged on the council dais here.
Okay, roll call then, please.
All right.
Is Mr. Antley, can you explain this as well as supporting what Mr. Chairman,
Well,
Mr. Kirby said?
the referendum and the ordinance are two separate things, and so technically you could still pass the ordinance. It doesn't make much sense since the referendum didn't pass, but the ordinance is its own thing and it's still on your floor to do something with, and so you got to dispose of it somehow.
Mr. Chairman, could we not just table it?
Yes, you could move to table it. That'd be in motion, in order.
Can I make that motion?
You sure can.
Motion that we table it.
All right, all those in favor?
Bill, roll call.
Roll call.
Okay. Okay, we'll proceed to a roll call.
Please.
It was the same thing either way.
If we vote yes, that means we're going to table it, right?
Correct.
All right.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
What are we tabling for?
Because it
We-
basically kills it.
Mr. Juvalakis, we have to either deny it, vote it down, or table it. It has the same effect.
Okay, all right, thank you. Roll call. So we're voting, what are we voting on now?
To table.
Okay.
I'm a yes.
Under our rules, if it's tabled, it never comes back. It doesn't just hold it out there, and it could come back, it's gone.
You have 12 in favor of tabling the item.
All right. The ordinance is tabled. I think that's a first for my 6 years on council. Item 11, ordinances at second reading, zoning ordinances. Dr. Fant, you've got 4, starting with 66.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. CZ 2024-066, property located at 4201 Easler Bridge Road Extension, Bent Bridge Road and Whitehorse Road, Greenville, requesting rezoning from R10 to S1. The Planning Commission recommended approval, and the committee recommended denial. On behalf of the committee, I move to deny the ordinance at second reading.
All right. All those in favor of denying CZ 2024-066, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. The ordinance is denied at second reading. CZ 2024-67.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Property located at 1817 West Georgia Road, Simpsonville, requesting rezoning from PD to R20. The Planning Commission and the committee recommended approval. On behalf of the committee, I move approval of the ordinance at second reading.
All right. All those in favor of adoption of the ordinance at second reading, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. 68.
68, property located at 36 Robinson Road and Williams Road, Taylor's, requesting rezoning from R20 to R12. Planning Commission and the committee recommended approval. On behalf of the committee, I move approval of the ordinance at second reading.
All right. All those in favor of adoption of the ordinance at second reading, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. The ordinance is adopted at second reading. CZ 2024-69.
Property located at 429 and 537 Harrison Bridge Road, Simpsonville, requesting rezoning from PD to PDNC. The Planning Commission and the committee recommended approval with conditions. Mr. Chairman, I have an amendment for the conditions.
State your amendment, please, sir.
Move to amend the request to include the following conditions. 1, under section 11.0, amenities and open space, the statement of intent, revise the statement on usable open space to say there will be 11 acres provided rather than may be provided. And number 2, submit a final development plan for review and approval prior to the issuance of any land development or building permits.
All right. Any questions on the amendment? All those in favor of adoption of the amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it.
No.
The amendment is adopted. Okay. Amendment's still adopted.
Now, Mr. Chairman, I move for approval of the ordinance as amended.
All right. All those in favor of adoption of CZ 2024-69 at second reading as amended, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
The ayes have it. It is adopted at second reading. 11B, sale of county-owned property, Chapman Grove Road, Pelzer.
Mr. Chairman, I need to recuse myself.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move for approval at second reading an ordinance to authorize the sale of a county-owned approximately 5.3-acre parcel of real property located on Chapman Grove Road, Pelzer, and to authorize the chairman of county council and the county administrator to execute appropriate deeds and agreements.
Roll
And I
call,
believe-
please. Mr. Chairman, can we not put that on hold?
Yes,
to give
we
the family more time to get the documentation that they
Yes,
need?
we can. You want to make that motion?
I'd like to make a motion to hold.
All right. All those in favor of holding this, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it, and we'll hold this until next year. 12, ordinances at first reading. Chairman Kervin, 12A.
Yes, sir. Anderson, Greenville, Monte County Industrial Park Agreement Amendment. 2010 part, Project Red Fox in Anderson County. I'll present for first reading an ordinance to amend an agreement for the development of a joint county industrial and business park, 2010 Park of Anderson and Greenville counties, so as to enlarge the park and to add certain parcels in Anderson County, Project Red Fox.
All right. And this would stay on the floor, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. 12B, Greenville Anderson Multi-County Industrial Business Park Agreement Amendment. Chairman Kervin.
Yes, sir. I present for first reading an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of a First Amendment to that certain First Amendment to agreement for development of a joint county and industrial and business park by and between Greenville County, South Carolina, and Anderson County, South Carolina, and other matters related thereto, currently known as Project OTT, O-T-T.
All right. That one will stay on the floor as well. The next item is 12C. Councilor Barnes is asked to withdraw that. We'll move to 13, committee reports. Chairman Seaman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On behalf of the committee, I move to authorize the Chairman of County Council to execute an employment contract with the County Administrator, Joe Cornell, the terms of which were reviewed and discussed with the County Council during executive session.
All right. All those in favor?
Mr. Chairman, roll call.
Okay. Roll call has been requested on 13A1.
Are we allowed to speak on it?
Sure. Would you like to be recognized?
Yes, please.
Okay. You're recognized.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I do want to remind the council group here, our councilors, that we all took we voted at the last committee of the whole meeting or whatever it may be, that when we hire or we fire the county administrator, the county attorney, or the county rep, it takes a 2/3 vote. And I just want to remind you, Mr. Chairman, that's what it takes for this to move forward.
All right. All those in favor of adoption of 13A1?
Chair, roll call.
Okay. Let's proceed to a roll call.
I'm a yes.
Chairman, you have 10 in favor, 2 in opposition.
All right. The committee report has been approved by council. 13B. Chairman Kervin, I'm sorry.
That's all right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is on the revised workforce policy that we've been working on in the Finance Committee for quite some time. And I believe it was October of 2022, Council approved a affordable housing workforce housing policy, which is in effect today. That policy, depending on which side you're on, was very popular with some nonprofits and developers, and it was criticized by others about the county getting into the incentive business for multifamily housing or rental property. So in an attempt over the past year to answer some of those complaints and sort of bring it to the middle and close some of the gaps in there, well, we bifurcated the policy to have, one, a workforce housing policy, number two, an affordable housing policy, and both of them are entirely different. In the packet, you had a cover memo, which was quite well written by one of the attorneys who helped us with this, and for the most part, and our county attorney a little bit there. And also, Mr. Tollison worked on this quite a bit. And the committee had some discussions on it as well and provided input into what you see in the packet. So a policy for the county is not a law, it's not an ordinance, it's not a formal resolution. County council has the latitude and flexibility to use a policy in pretty much any way it wants to. It can apply it to whatever it wants to do, or it can change it pretty much at any time. It's more or less a guideline to put people on notice and what they may expect when they want to come in to county council and present something under this policy or any other policy that the council may have. So that's the intent of the work. It's one of the last things I was able to get out of the committee and present tonight. There was some disagreement in the committee. I think we might hear some of that tonight. I'm happy with the discussion. I think we've generated a lot of discussion, a lot of interest. If it goes forward, fine. If it doesn't go forward, you've still got the old policy in place, which I think this one is a better model to follow personally. But it's up to council, a future council, to decide if they want to adopt the old, work with the old policy, adopt the new policy, or come up with an entirely new policy, or no policy at all. But here we are tonight, and I put this out. If council, it just takes one vote if you want to put this policy into effect, the bifurcation, workforce, and affordable housing, it would replace the 2022 policy that's in place now, and it would be the current policy going forward for the new council to work with.
Okay, so this is a committee report for the Finance Committee. We've got item 1, which is the workforce housing policy. Item 2, affordable housing policy. We'll take these separately. Did you want to speak?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Kervin, thanks for bringing these forward. I just want to express reservation that I don't feel like we had enough input from our stakeholders. You know, I definitely understand the intent, and I know that there's certainly confusion, you know, maybe among the body and in the public too, between nomenclature of workforce and affordable. I just also want to make sure that there's not any unintended consequences, and so I would love the opportunity to consider, to keep on working on this particular policy, and just, again, would really want to hear from our stakeholders who are, you know, sort of boots on the ground doing the work, because I have heard from a few that I think have some concerns, and so I have reservations about moving these two forward as is. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Fant, Dr. Fant?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm to applaud Chairman Kervin for his leadership, and also want to thank Councilor Harrison. And over the years, I think this was a good initial step, and in particular in bifurcating, I thought we made some improvements with the Affordable Housing Piece Committee, so I applaud the committee there, but in agreement with what Councilor Seaman, we've gotten several calls. We probably do need to have some sit-downs with the stakeholders and get some input from the people who actually will be using it. It makes no sense to adopt a policy that the people who actually would use it wouldn't use it, or felt as though they didn't really have an input in how it was crafted and developed. So, you know, hopefully, I'm not going to do it, but I hope one of y'all will send it back to committee so we can work on it and particularly sit down with the stakeholders like we did the first time, and come up with something that everybody can buy into and understand fully what it's intended to do.
All right. Any other comments?
I'll kind of echo what everybody's been saying. I think this is a big undertaking. I think Mr. Kervin did a phenomenal job. I think there's a lot of good things in here, a good foundation to build upon what we've got. But I kind of agree with Ms. Seaman and Dr. Fant, and I guess I'll go ahead and I'll make a motion that we send this back to committee.
Okay. That
Roll call vote.
the workforce housing, we got two. We've got to deal with them separately. So workforce housing policy is first, and we'll go to a roll call vote.
Please restate the vote.
The vote is to send workforce housing policy back to committee.
I'm a yes.
Mr. Chairman, you have 9 in favor, 3 in opposition.
All right. This will go, workforce housing policy will go back to committee. The next item is the affordable housing policy.
Like a roll call, too, please.
Okay. So the motion would be to adopt this affordable housing policy. Mr. Chairman Kervin is, I'm sorry, did someone, okay.
I'll make
Sorry.
the same motion for this one as well.
Sorry, that's the piece that was missing. Okay, so Mr. Harrison moves to send affordable housing policy back. You're asking for a roll call.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm a yes.
Mr. Chairman, you have 9 in favor, 3 in opposition.
Okay, that'll go back to the Finance Committee as well. Next item is 13C, Planning and Development Committee. We've got an initiate zoning map amendment, District 25, Chairman Fant.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On behalf of the committee, I move to initiate a zoning map amendment to provide initial zoning for all presently unzoned properties across District 25, Section 1A of the Greenville County zoning ordinance requires a specific RS zoning district assignment for the properties covered under this type of initial zoning action. Mr. Chairman, I want to kind of explain how this happened and why we're doing it. There's not much land left in District 25 that is unzoned. However, developers have kind of caught on to trying to target that little pocket of unzoned, and they know if you do unzone, you can just bypass county council and just go straight to the planning commission, and all of a sudden there's a subdivision pops up, and we had nothing to do with it, didn't know anything about it. Case in point, Owens Farm was approved by the planning commission the week before Labor Day, and that was the first Saturday of football games, and I'm watching TV. And I got lit up all day long and night from people in that area who like their way of life, who like its rule. I hadn't been down that way in a long time. They still grow turkeys and raise turkeys and chickens, grow tomatoes and cucumbers. They don't want anybody down there. And just for developers to just go around me and go to the planning commission, and the planning commission says and then I get lit up, that's just wrong. It's just wrong. So it's not much land left. But I'm just want to, and look, I would zone more than RS, but I can only do RS as far as council. If the people down there want to keep it like it is, I will support RR1, RR3. I'll support anything. If you don't want anybody down there till the Lord comes back, that's fine with me. I'll support it, but I'm doing what I can to slow down the development in that area where the people don't want it.
Ma'am, you're out of order.
Mr. Chairman?
Okay. Mr. Bradley?
First of all, I'm in favor of zoning, but I'm not in favor of council telling someone that they must be zoned, which is what this does. And you and I have discussed this before, that, this is telling, and that's right on the edge of my district, and I know a lot of those folks. We're going to go tell them, we're going to zone your property if you like it or not. That's what this does. And we have that ability. I'm not denying that, but that doesn't make it right.
Okay. Any other questions? All those in favor of adoption of the committee report C1, please say aye.
Mr. Chairman, sorry.
Ms. Seaman?
A motion to send back to committee be appropriate?
It just went to committee yesterday.
Well, then that doesn't seem like that was a lot of time.
I didn't know about it till Friday.
I'll make a motion that we send it back to the committee.
All right. All those in favor of sending back to committee?
Roll call. I'm making my point.
I'm a yes.
Mr. Chairman, you have 11 in favor, 1 in opposition.
All right. This will go back to committee. Roads and Infrastructure Public Works Committee. Item D1, request of letter of support for South Carolina Parks. Chairman Seaman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move to authorize the County Council Chairman to write a letter supporting the South Carolina Parks, Recreation, and Tourism to acquire 65 acres adjacent to Paris Mountain State Park.
All right. All those in favor?
Can I make a comment or before the?
Sure.
Since it's in District 20. Again, really appreciate the work that I think HR and the Historic Trust had to do with this. The issue is I would ask that we just amend the letter to emphasize that the county does not support the Parks Department of the state trying to expand access through Altamont Road. They've actually come in and kind of bullied the neighbors there and got a veto by the governor of our legislators who had put a provision in to protect access. But the idea is protecting access to the Paris Mountain Park via Altamont Road. So I just asked that you would let me either put on hold and let me add some language to the letter. I support it in general.
Okay. Is I was thinking this was on the other side of the mountain. Is Altamont anywhere near this?
It's not anywhere near it, but it's the same folks that have completely stabbed in the back, had meetings up there and said, we're not going to, don't worry, we're not going to put access on Altamont Road. And then there was actually a governor's veto of an effort to protect it. So I'm just trying to combine it's the issue of the whole park and access to it, not this specific land. So I'm just asking for a hold to amend the letter itself. I don't know if that's going to change the trajectory or the timing of this, but it didn't seem like it's something that has to be done right away.
Actually, that's not accurate. It does need to be done right away. That's why we took it to county. And just so you know, I could have theoretically signed a letter without coming to committee. I asked Mr. Antley, and he put it through committee for a vote. So do you want to weigh in on that?
Well, I wish you would have brought this in committee, your request for the amendment in committee, because we could have maybe discussed it then. I guess I appreciate your concern, but I'm also concerned that without our letter, I would hate to slow down the process.
What I'll do on behalf of, appreciate the input. What I'll do on behalf of the constituents is write my own letter in conjunction with it, whether they want to read it or not.
I think that's effective.
Thank you.
All right. All those in favor of adoption of D1 from Public Works, Roads, Infrastructure, and Public Works Committee, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. And then D2, request for a letter of support for South Carolina Parks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move to authorize the County Council Chairman to write a letter supporting the South Carolina Parks, Recreation, and Tourism to acquire 365 acres of Glassy Mountain.
All right. All those in favor of adoption of D2, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. And then finally, D3, naming of county facility.
Chairman, the committee approved the naming of the Greenville County Veterans Plaza, and Mr. Mitchell has a motion for us to consider.
Right. Recognize Mr. Mitchell.
Mr. Chairman, Honor, I move to name the Greenville County Veterans Plaza after our distinguished colleague, General Herman G. Butch Kirvin.
All right. All those in favor of adoption of the motion?
May I just make a comment again? Sorry to... But are we going to get a chance to speak on this? With all due respect, I just have personal reservations about this. I have all the respect in the world for Mr. Kirvin, but it's just a sensitive park in my opinion, and it should have more consideration. I didn't know anything about it until about an hour ago.
Okay. Any other comments?
Yeah, I'll make a comment too also. I think it's great that we want to do this, but I think it ought to be called the Citizens Park or something. I have a problem naming it after one of our councilors. He did receive a distinct honor today. Congratulations, Mr. Kirvin. But we just learned about this just now. So anyway.
All right. Any other comments? Okay. The motion is to name the park outside the building in honor of Chairman Kirvin. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed?
Opposed.
No.
The ayes have it. The naming is adopted. Congratulations, Mr. Kirvin. Okay. And I think we...
Could I say one thing there? I'm really deeply humbled and honored by this. Having been on council 20 years next month, or into this month, and I know there's a couple of people out there that served a little bit longer than that. But I've, by my count, spent about 450 consecutive council meetings since I was first sworn in, and I have not missed one council meeting in almost 20 years. It might be a little bit one side or the other, or 450, but by my count, that's the way it is. And in the months and years ahead, as these buildings go up outside the building here, and the streets get out there, and some of you folks might be walking down one of those streets and you see a guy sitting over there on a bench, it might be me, stop and say hello. I would really appreciate that. We've all put a lot of sweat and blood and tears into this county square, University Ridge, and a lot of it happened while I happened to be chairman of county council. But we wouldn't have gotten it done without everyone's support and help. Some of those that aren't with us now, no longer serving, or some of them have even passed on. And I'm deeply grateful to each and every one of those, and our great county staff, and all the citizens that we serve. So thank you very much.
I want to also recognize Mr. Mitchell. I think we've got a special presentation in conjunction with this naming. If I'd like to turn the podium over to you, or the mic over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Kervin, I want you to know that this was something that's been in the making for a little while, but it was a secret for you, because you have not only been a servant of the people for the county of Greenville, the state of South Carolina, and the United States of America in your role in the Army, but you have been a great leader to get things done throughout your tenure on county council. I used to sit where everybody else is sitting and watch you work your wonders and work actually for the people. And as you are leaving, I've recognized that your service in the military has been tremendous, as well as your service on council. I've talked with the people in Veterans Affairs, and everybody has nothing but total respect for you. And I wanted to try to do something special, and I got with the chairman so that we could try to pull something off that was special for you. And the plaza that we're talking about naming is just the area where the military markers are, the Veterans Plaza. For those of you who do not know, Mr. Kervin is a general in the U.S. Army. And Mr. Kervin, thank you for your service. Now, one other thing.
You want to? Now, we've got a special unveiling for you. If you'd go down on the floor with Mr. Mitchell, he'll unveil a special surprise we have for you tonight. Let me just say for the record, I've appreciated working with you, General Kervin, Chairman Kervin. You've been a friend, you've been a mentor. All those mornings we spent at Eggs Up Grill in Simpsonville and Malden, I've tried to learn and listen to you. And I don't care what some of the opinionated people out there say about you. You are a man of distinction. You're a man of valor. You're a man of integrity. And I appreciate the 20 years that you've been here. No absence. You haven't been AWOL one time in 20 years. And that is something for you young newbies coming on board to aspire to. I know I haven't lived up to that. But I want to thank you for your service to Greenville County Council, and wish you well in your retirement. Thank you. Anybody else have anything to say?
I did. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I did want to follow up with that. The greatest thing somebody can give you is their time, and just last Friday, Chairman General Kervin gave me his time. I wanted his advice on something, and I respect everything he does, so I don't want anything that we vote on here that I mentioned to have anything to do with any individual. He deserves the Order of the Palmetto and his other honors that he's gotten, and I don't want to diminish that. So thank you for his service.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Fant, Dr. Fant?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Butch, for your leadership and years of service. We first met back in 2004 when you were running. I had glasses and hair back then. I had no idea that I'd actually be serving with you on council. But it has certainly been rewarding and enjoyable. And a lot of the skill sets that I've used now on council, I learned from you. And watching you operate and how to navigate thorny situations. And then when it's over, it's just over. And go home, turn the TV on, and get ready for the next day. And I appreciate that. And I hope as you leave us, don't leave us for real. I hope we can still text back and forth when the Gamecocks are on Saturdays. And I hope that, Dan, I hope we don't put eggs up grills and stuff. Butch is not going to be there with us anymore. And I was thinking, Alan had kind of tipped me off about this, and we voted on this today in committee. And I was like, no, all that money y'all spent on that. I was like, I'm glad this passed. But I've enjoyed it, man, and I appreciate you so much and all you've done. And you've really been a mentor to me, and hopefully we can somehow live up to your leadership as we move forward.
Thank you, Dennis. May I say one more
Sure,
thing?
sure.
I just want to say how much I appreciate my wife putting up with all the time I've spent on county council. She's had some health issues. She's pretty much homebound, takes a lot of care. But anytime I need to go somewhere, we work it out. And she said, you go and do what you need to do, and I'll see you later. My daughter came by tonight, and she's with us sitting over there, Lee. She see what her title is over at Clemson University. She's in the language department, got her PhD, and she teaches Spanish over there as a lecturer. I believe that's what your title is. So good to see my daughter here tonight with us. Thank you very much.
Any other comments? All right, let me just also, in closing, I think we will ask the administrator if he has a report, but let me just say thank you for the honor of serving as your chairman. I know I've gotten a lot of slings and arrows, comes with the job. I've got tough skin. I'm good with that. I started this journey 2 years ago, and y'all remember the 3 Ps. We haven't talked about the 3 Ps lately. I don't remember the last time we had a 6-6 vote, and that says a lot that we've progressed in the last couple of years. Change is inevitable. We have new colleagues coming on in the next 2 years, but before we have those new colleagues, I want to say goodbye to the old ones, and I want to say goodbye to the folks that have served honorably in this body. Chris Harrison, you've been a wonderful colleague to work with. You've chaired the Communications Committee. You've tried to generate conversations in the community and allow people to speak that may not have a voice to come and speak. You've done a lot of good work, and I appreciate the collegial relationship that we've had. Dr. Fant, man, I took some slings and arrows for you, but I just want to say that I think you've done a great job of chairman of P&D, and look forward to working with you next year. Chairman Kervin, you've done a great job as chairman of finance. No one can read better than you. And I hope I never get that job again, because that's a lot of reading that you have to do as chairman. But you have a very thoughtful, collegial manner about you as chair. And you truly do listen to lots of opinions, and you do reach out to people whether they agree with you or not. Chairman Seaman, you have been incredible to work with as vice chair, as chairman of RIPWA. And I really appreciate your hard work. You've always sat next to me and helped me out on the dais, and I appreciate everything that you've done. Mr. Barnes, despite the fact that you tried to give me a haircut tonight, I appreciate everything you've done for for council. You've been a great mentor and a friend, and you cook some daggum good barbecue when you have your annual cookouts, and I hope you won't forget about us.
Appreciate being able to serve with y'all.
Well, thank you. And let me just say thank you, Benton, Steve. Steve, you challenged me. That's all good. You make me a better person. I appreciate it. Joey and Benton, it's been great working with you. This is the end of this year. What? Oh, okay, sorry. Bradley, we do some great lunches at Yum Yum Snack Shop. I appreciate everything that we've been able to chat about over the last couple of years. Stan, I know we haven't always agreed on things, but I appreciate everything that you brought to council. You've got a strong opinion. I know somebody else like that, so I appreciate your hard work this year. And Mr. Mitchell, I know you had some rough times earlier this year, and you fainted on me at a press conference earlier this year. But I'm very glad to see you here. Bottom line is, there are things that divide us on this dais, but there's so much more that we have that unites us. We are blessed to live in Greenville County. I'm always amazed when I drive up to your neck of the woods, down to Bradley, your neck of the woods, and see the diversity in Greenville County. I was blessed to be able to go up in a chopper during the hurricane, and I saw Greenville from the air. There's a whole lot more canopy and green space than sometimes we think there is, and we are truly blessed to be in Greenville County. There is not a single person on this dais that does not want to protect Greenville County and make it a better place to live. So I'm proud to serve as your chairman for another couple weeks. This is our last meeting together. Just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and I just
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
You served as chairman for the last 2 years, and that's the hardest job on council. Probably the hardest job in politics, to tell you the truth. But you've served us well with distinction and honor. You've handled disagreements. It's been intense at times, but that's just part of the job, and I really appreciate working with you and what you've done for everyone on the council and for the county as a whole. You've done an outstanding job. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Man, listen, you have done
We can't, we've got to let, thank you, I'm sorry. We've got to let, oh, go ahead.
No, I just want to say, Dan has, God, man, you have done a just outstanding job. To manage this crowd, week after week and not quit. I mean, that says a lot. And we applaud you for your leadership. And, you know, it's the little things. I mean, you've been chairman, but you never strong-armed any of us. You've never, I'm sure you've got calls from developers about stuff in P&D, but not once have you called and said, tried to tell a committee chair what to do. And it's just, you've been nothing but a gentleman and true respect. And I got to say this about this guy right here and Mike Barnes. I mean, we're colleagues, but we're also friends. This guy's always something special and is always willing to try to find common ground. And Mike, listen, man, I never could get him to stop calling me before 8 o'clock. I always say, look, I don't have any small children in school. Do not call me before 8 o'clock. He calls 7:30, just whatever he feels like. But we're still friends, man. Continue to invite me to the barbecue. And you can call me anytime, just as long as it's after 8 o'clock. Well, you called at 10:30 at night. So. But it's just been great, and I appreciate working with everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Juvalakis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I want to tell the citizens of Greenville County, thank you for allowing me to serve you the last 4 years. I'm very grateful for that opportunity. It's really been an honor. To council members here, thank you for allowing me to serve with you as well. I'm grateful for the opportunity to serve 4 years. And it's been a wonderful time. And Mr. Kirby, I want to say to you, congratulations to all your awards that you won today and tonight. And well-deserving, and you are a man of honor. And I appreciate everything you've done for council. For those of you that don't know, my wife Kelly is out here out here tonight. This is her first meeting in 4 years, and this will be her last meeting. And she came to the signing when we first came on, and that's my daughter Caroline as well, and I'm very blessed to have them with us tonight. So with that, to the Greenville County citizens, thank you again for allowing me to serve you, and I'm always here for you no matter what, and I'm still going to fuss at council even when I'm not on council, so I'm not going to go away. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. You got any reports? Okay. Motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn, Mr.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, we're adjourned. Thank you.
My last motion.